Welcome to the U-Turn podcast. My friend, this is Ashley Stahl. I'm your host, and you are in the right place if you're ready to create a business, a career, a personal brand, or just a life that you're so proud of. And every single week, we want to support you by bringing you PhDs, subject matter experts, psychology practitioners, business leaders, all here on the show to elevate your success in business and also in life so that you can leave a legacy, you can amplify your authority, and you can really skyrocket the amount of opportunities you're creating for yourself in your career, whether you're corporate or you're a business owner. And if you are new here, again, my name is Ashley Stahl. I'm an international bestselling author of the book U-Turn, Get Unstuck, Discover Your Direction, Design Your Dream Career. And most importantly, I'm the CEO and founder of Wise Whisper Agency. I'm a top 100 TEDx speaker on the internet, and I was so inspired to create Wise Whisper and help clients craft their signature talk. We've helped hundreds of clients craft their talk, and we've also helped so many of them land spots on some of the biggest stages in the world, including the TED and TEDx stage. And so I am here on a mission to help every changemaker I know impact millions. Also, before we get into this episode, shout out to our friend Andy B. Mackin, the artist that has gifted us this sick new music for the podcast. Let's get into this week's episode. All right, U-Turn friends, you know how much I love to bring people on the show who have not just amazing work, but personal relevance. Like all of you have heard me talk about love and the importance of love and finding love, and I haven't settled. And I have so many friends in my life who this has been like one of the biggest things they've focused on. And I have a dear friend, Gina DeVee. She always tells me there's three schools: the school of love, the school of money, and the school of health. And, you know, all of us are spending a lot of our lives in different schools. And if you are in the school of love, Arielle Ford is the gift for you today. She's a love alchemist, best-selling author, passionate guide for women, really who are ready to find love. They're ready to keep it. They're ready to be it. And she's a longtime student of love. She's led workshops all over the place, whether it's at Esalen, Omega, Chopra Center, beyond. She's got 11 best-selling books, including Soulmate Secret, Wabi Sabi Love, Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate. And she really shares so many secrets in her work around lasting love. And she does a lot of research on this. And her debut novel, The Love Thief by Hay House, came out in July 2025. And so definitely a fun, mesmerizing spiritual romance thriller set in India, of all places. And her site's at arielleford.com. So I'll put that in the show notes for you. And today I really want to talk to her about what is love? What is it? How are relationships evolving in today's world? What are some studies that are relevant? And so many other points that we're going to cover. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Oh, I'm so happy to talk to you again. You are really fun to talk to.
Oh, thank you. Maybe it's because I'm like way too honest.
No, I like your enthusiasm. I mean,
Oh,
really, you've got this, you can sort of drink everything in, which
yeah.
a lot of people aren't doing these days.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's funny. I've seen this podcast do really well when I follow topics that are like spiritual development, spiritual growth. And when I start to get a little businessy, the show gets less downloads. And I think it's because people can feel my energy about the spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm excited to, I know you had it was like a poem maybe that you had before we hit record. I would
Yes.
love for you to just read it, or I can read it, whatever you want.
Yeah. So as I've been a student of love for the past 20 something years, I have been really searching to understand it. And one day I just channeled this little piece and it says, "What is love? Love is an art and you are the artist. Love is much more than just a feeling. Love is a choice. Love is connection. Love is a decision. Love is a practice. Love is a behavior. And love is the juiciest part of life.
Mm.
Love opens our hearts, expands our world, and brings a smile to our lips. For love, we make commitments and agreements to share our life with another in good times and in bad. When we pledge our love to another, we say to them, I will love you on your good days and your bad days. I will be your safe place to land. I will share with you my attention, affection, and appreciation. With you, I will become a better woman. And with me, you will become a better man.
Mm,
I will be your best friend, lover, partner, and protector. And if things don't work out, I won't sell you out.
mm,
Love is not all things shiny and sparkly, although those are nice for a special day. And they are ultimately not what love is all about.
mm,
Love is much more about giving as it is about receiving. And it's also about being willing to forgive. And let's not forget, love is also about truth telling.
mm,
Love is God. Love is who we are. Love is why we're here. And in the end, love is an art, and you are the artist.
mm.
So
It's
for me, that really sums up what love is.
mm, it's interesting because all I could think about is how there's a lot of artists out there that are very, very sick. And,
Well, art comes in lots of forms,
right,
right?
right,
And just like, some people say life is a movie and we're the writer, producer, director, or life is a canvas and we get to decide do we want watercolors or oils. And our job is really to dig into it and figure out how do we want to express love for ourselves, for others, for the world.
right, exactly. And I think what's coming up for me is the question of like how to choose good love, because a lot of people choose loves that aren't necessarily healthy for them. They miss things. If there's anything I've learned the older I get, which I don't know if I'm wiser sometimes, but um what I've learned is like how much selection matters. Like I used to select takers and then try to teach them how to be a giver. And it's like, no, just pick a giver and then you don't have to teach them that. But obviously, nobody's perfect, and we put people up against these standards of perfection that we're not even meeting. So I would love to just start with like, what's going on right now, do you think, in the landscape of relationships, society, where they're going? Like any feedback from you on what you're seeing with people right now would be amazing.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess out there. I was reading some sad statistics the other day about how, our grandparents, my great grandparents, are having had a lot more sex than anybody else in the country is right now. Sex is down. It's down for all age groups, boys, girls, men, women. People are just disconnected. They're not connecting. Everybody's tied to their screens. Their brains are addicted to the dopamine of likes and, doom scrolling and all of that. And it's really screwed us up.
Mm,
Marriages are down. Births are down. We're now down to under, it used to be at one point people had 3.5 kids and then it was 2.0. Now it's like 1.6.
wow.
Yeah, all right. People aren't having children. They don't know how to connect. Uh, they're choosing not to connect. So I feel really sad about that. I mean, I'd like people to understand that, if you're watching porn all the time, of course you're going to be disappointed,
Mm,
right? That's not what making love looks like.
mm,
I also read that there are women who think that um, having a man put his hands around your neck and squeezing is part of making love because it shows up so often in porn. There's
mm,
just all this disinformation and bad information, and people just aren't connecting. So, what's the solution? I think it starts with being true to yourself and being committed.
mm,
And that there's a broad range to that. So, let's say you are a female of childbearing age, and your value is I would like to get married and have children and lead a committed monogamous relationship.
mm,
All right. It's easy to find out this stuff right at the start,
mm.
as opposed to getting 3 months into somebody and finding out that their biggest fantasy is, oh, I want to be polyamorous,
Right.
right? Or I don't ever want to have kids. Or my parents got divorced, I'm never getting married. So if you are clear about what your value is, about what you want, then hold out for that.
Yeah.
And these days there's lots of ways to do relationship. You can be in a committed relationship and live across the country from each other or down the street. Or
Mm,
you could decide I want to be under one roof and be with somebody 24/7,
Mm-hmm.
Those are all choices, but you can't make those choices in reverse. You need to know going out. Okay, I am at a place where I'm clear I would like to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
But start thinking about what does that look like for me?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want a man or do want a woman or does isn't that an issue? I just want somebody I love. Okay, great. You're open to that.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty acceptable these days to,
Yeah.
to do that. That's not a problem. But, do you want to actually live with somebody or do you just want to see them on a really regular basis? And I'll
Mm.
give you an example of this that really worked.
When I started this podcast, it seemed like I had to figure everything out on my own: the scripts, the setup, the filming schedule, logos. It got really overwhelming, and every day kind of seemed to introduce this new decision that I needed to answer. So that's kind of how it goes, right? When you're starting something new, it seems like your to-do list kind of grows every day with new tasks, and that list can easily begin to overrun your life. So finding the right tool that not only helps you out, but simplifies everything can be such a game changer. And for so many millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. Shopify really helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand's style. You can accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with very helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography so you can get the word out, kind of like you have a marketing team behind you. So you can easily create emails, social media campaigns, whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify is your e-commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. So if you're ready to sell, you ready for Shopify. So turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/U-turn. Go to Shopify, shopify.com/YOUTURN, shopify.com/U-turn.
My stepmother was much younger than my father. And 2 years after my father died, she called me one day and she said, I'm ready for another relationship. And I said, that's great. What do you want? She said, well, I've already been divorced and now I'm a widow. Here's exactly what I want. She said, you know how busy I am. I'm a docent at the opera and the symphony. I am a member of Mensa. I play international Scrabble competitions. I'm in the choir. I have children and grandchildren. Here's what I do want. I want a committed relationship with a man that I have dinner with on Tuesday nights and we spend weekends together. And then once a year, we go to Israel for 2 weeks to volunteer on a kibbutz. That's what I want. And I said, well, God bless you, Judy. I hope it happens for you. And sure enough, she met this man named Seth. That was the exact relationship they had for 25 years. And
Wow.
the only reason it ended is because Seth died at 87,
Wow.
right? So that kind of clarity, like I want my busy life. Here's what I want to do. Or I'm happy, I'm flexible, I'll relocate for love. I just want somebody who, will take a bullet for me, is my safe place to land, that we have some hobbies together that we do and some that we don't. And you're flexible that way.
Mm.
But if you're not, if you're like Judy, and I'm not giving up any of my stuff to be in a relationship, you can manifest what you want.
Mm. Mm. Okay. When I think about what people want versus what they take, what they choose, obviously there's a huge gap. And obviously, there's all sorts of different reasons going on inside of people why they pick things that aren't working for them. I think of some women I've met where I listen to their list of things and I'm like, well, you're fit and you're successful. I guess wanting a guy with an eight pack and a huge bank account like you makes sense if you want what you're doing. But sometimes it feels like they're the things they want are just so many, and we've kind of lost touch with people being human. So, how do you look at deal breakers, at red flags? Um,
Well, they're different. Deal breakers are different from red flags.
yeah,
The red flags are something that says, okay, I could get hurt. You want to be with somebody with whom you feel emotionally and physically safe.
yeah,
Right? And these days, the way politics is, you probably want somebody who you're aligned with politically. You don't have to be in total step and, agreement with them, but at least in alignment with them.
mm,
So, that could be a deal breaker. Or let's say I'm allergic to tobacco smoke. So for me, a deal breaker would be somebody who smokes.
mm,
It wasn't that I just don't like it. It literally makes me sick,
mm,
and then there are the other things. Like I remember somebody, I was having this conversation with somebody and I said to her, who was it? I said, who is your celebrity crush?
mm,
And she named somebody really famous. But her deal breakers were the guy had to be taller than her, and she had all these things. Couldn't do certain things, like I don't remember what they were, like couldn't smoke pot, whatever it was. And she named somebody who did all of those things. And
mm.
let's say it was George Clooney, okay, just for the hell of it. So let's say somehow George Clooney ends up at your front door. Do you give him a pass because he doesn't hit all your must-haves and deal breakers? And of course, the answer is yes. So you have to know that even though we want to manifest a certain amount of stuff, there's a divinity, there's destiny to what comes to us. And
Mm,
you're going to end up with things you didn't expect that you're now going to be grateful you got that you didn't ask for. And there will be things that you don't like about them that you're never going to change, which is why I wrote my book, Wabi Sabi Love.
mm,
And what Wabi Sabi is it's a Japanese aesthetic that honors all things old, worn, imperfect, and impermanent.
mm,
And it seeks to find beauty and perfection in imperfection. And then there's a way to get to wabi sabi when your partner's doing something you can't stand.
mm.
Because no matter how much you're in alignment with your soulmate life partner and you love them and they love you, they're going to do shit that annoys you.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to change it. I'll give you an example. It happens almost every day in my house. I walk around barefoot all the time. I never wear shoes unless I have to.
Mm,
And my husband, when he goes into the kitchen, he'll go and wash something, but he won't dry his hands. So he's walking around the tile floor, dropping water everywhere he goes. I walk into the kitchen and I feel this icky water on the bottom of my feet. It's like, oh, Brian's been in here again. I used to ask him all the time. We have paper towels, we have other cloth towels. Just wipe your hands. And he would say, well, just wear shoes, which from his point of view makes sense, right? So
Yeah.
finally, what I do now is when there's water on the floor, I take two paper towels, I put one on each foot, and I slide around drying the floor. It's just a wabi-sabi solution because men don't change. I don't know. I think women can change a lot easier than men can, but for the most part, they
That's
don't change. All you can do is find workarounds.
Hmm. Why do you think that is? What do you think the difference is between men and women that makes you say that men and women are different?
I think part of it is the places where I have seen men change is when you give them a really good explanation that
Mm,
makes sense to them. For example, my friend Allison, her husband used to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and he'd leave the seat up. And then she would get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and she would fall in the toilet. And
mm,
it would really, of course, drive her crazy. And then finally, she said to him one day, let me just tell you what my experience is. I get up in the middle of the night. I have to go to the bathroom. I don't turn the light on because that would wake me up. And then when my butt hits the cold water, then I'm up for the rest of the night. So I know it's a problem for you to remember to lower the seat, but I just wanted you to understand what my experience is, what the consequence for me is. And
mm,
she never had a problem again.
mm.
So sometimes just really explaining why you need something to be the way it is. Brian used to do one thing. I'm not even going to tell you what it was. It used to make me crazy. And I asked him to change it and I told him why. And he just said, no, just
Mm,
live with it. He said, I've been like this my whole life. I'm not changing.
mm,
So that was useful to know. And then I just got used to it.
mm. It's funny that you share that because recently my partner, he asked me, what did he ask me? There was something I asked him for, and he was like, well, can you explain what that's about for you? And I remember having this little complex being like, can't it just be enough that I don't want it that way? Like, can't you just take that at face value and care about it? And it's a low lift on your side, but it's a big thing on my side. Like, why do we have to do this whole TED talk about why I need it or why I don't? And you just saying that really underlines exactly why, is because that is relationship building. And that's the lesson I learned in spiritual psychology school is that relationships are not built on efficiency. That's not how you build relationships always. And there's this efficient person to me that's busy, that's like, do we have to sit down and talk about this whole reason of why I want you to do it this way? Or, oh, I sound like such a pain in the ass when I say it out loud now that I'm hearing myself. But point being, I think that's actually a really powerful point that I want to put a pin in for people who are listening right now is the value of saying, let me explain why it is this way and not seeing it as a waste of time to show that to your partner, to paint that picture to your partner. Um, what are you talked about the difference between red flags and deal breakers. Can we talk a little bit about deal breakers? Like, what would you say are I understand the deal breaker. I want to have kids. This person doesn't. Like, deal breaker.
Right.
I'm very religious. I go to church every weekend. This person doesn't believe in God. Probably a deal breaker.
Not always, though. I
Okay.
actually, I actually have come across many couples, and I always say that the new age spiritual girls have the hardest time in relationship because they get very judgy and they believe they're right, and they think that, if somebody does yoga and meditates and drink green drinks, it says something about who they are and their values. And if that were true, there wouldn't be so many male yoga teachers who get Me Too'd,
Mm,
that are out there taking advantage of their clients. So
mm,
I don't believe that you have to share those kinds of beliefs. Now, if your thought is, well, I'll know he's the right guy because he's going to want to go to Agape with me on Sundays, you're cutting out a huge portion of men that you could have a great life with.
yeah.
What you want is, what are their deepest values? So, for instance, for me, somebody who's irresponsible with money and lies about money would be a deal breaker.
Mm,
Because one of my core issues that I've worked through for 72 years now is poverty consciousness.
mm,
And, I've got it really manageable now. But if I were with somebody who was, going into our bank account and gambling and spending money I didn't know about and putting our financial future at risk, that would be a deal breaker,
mm,
right? And it's different for different people. It wouldn't be a deal breaker for Brian. He grew up very wealthy. He never thinks about money. His mother taught him to only buy designer clothes, to buy the very best. So it's just not his issue.
mm,
However, over the course of our relationship, he had never shopped a sale in his life. I have taught him the fun of, getting an Armani at 30% off, He doesn't go looking for it, but if it happens, he'll come home. Oh, look what I got. So there is a difference, but values are so critical. What's important to me? If you're of childbearing age and you're a Catholic and you want your child raised in the Catholic Church, you got to work that out in advance. They don't have to necessarily be Catholic, but you have to work it out. My goddaughter is Jewish. And when she has children, her husband has already agreed that he's going to convert, even though technically in the Jewish religion, only the mother needs to be Jewish. That's her desire. And he agreed to it before the wedding. So
mm,
it's just about, what are my core values? What's most important to me? What would be a devastating betrayal from which I don't think I would recover? And
mm,
most people think it's sex. If somebody goes out and has a one night stand somewhere, like, I'll never get past that.
mm,
Now, with counseling, you can get past those things. Now, are you going to get past the fact that the husband you thought loved you had a second wife and family cross town, no, chances are you're not going to get over that one.
Yeah, no, that one sounds pretty serious.
That's pretty that's
Yeah.
pretty awful.
You sound
But
like you're in pretty hot water.
people do stupid shit.
Yeah.
I've had a few dreams that I haven't told Brian about because even in the dream, I thought, oh my God, I'm cheating,
Oh my
which
God.
is so not in me. But oh my God, the dream was so fun. Like, like, do you have to share everything? And I don't believe that you necessarily do. I don't think you want to withhold important stuff.
Yeah.
And if you need to, let me just, I'm sorry, I'm going to segue into this, but Gay Hendrix once told me, I said, we were talking about the importance of telling the truth as soon as you know it.
Yeah.
And I said to him, but how do you do that when you're really afraid of the consequences? Like when, let's say, you did have this one night thing and it was 15 years ago, and what does it matter now? But somehow it's up for you. And here's what Gay told me. He said, listen, you start the conversation with, I have something I need to tell you, and I'm terrified.
Mm,
I'm terrified that you'll no longer love me. I'm terrified if I tell you what I did, you will leave me. I'm terrified I will blow up our lives. And I've come to the conclusion that you really deserve to know. So you
mm,
start there, you
mm,
know, and then you tell it as simply as you can, and then you agree to answer every question, and then you have to say, I'm sorry. And
mm,
I'm sorry just isn't as simple as, oh, I'm so sorry. It may be, I'm so sorry. I regret doing it. I'll never do it again. And you can continue to ask me about it as long as you need to. And I'm praying you'll forgive me.
mm. Well, this actually brings me into just like why relationships end, because obviously cheating is kind of seen as like one of those things. I dated a guy at one point who the next relationship he was in, he cheated on her. He called me crying and like hating himself, and I was like, "Well, you're not a bad guy, but you definitely did a bad thing, because he was like suicide. He was really spiraling." They ended up getting engaged like a couple years later, and I hope that that works out. But I also know that, I mean, the research is not on their side, not to say that anybody is a statistic. Can you talk to me a little bit about what are some early signs, early meaning like within the first year? And then I want to get into later signs because I know some people are listening now and maybe they've been with somebody for a long time. And I was reading John Gottman saying that 69% of arguments are perpetual arguments, meaning that they're open issues in the relationship. And all, the argument you're having is just about the same old thing that you're navigating together. I imagine that's to be expected, that every relationship has like that little tit for tat thing that you just don't get past. But yeah, talk to me about early signs or just
Early signs of what?
early signs that maybe two people really are not a good idea for each other. Maybe things that people aren't paying enough attention to.
Yeah. Yeah. So the one thing I always recommend is that you don't even think about living together or getting married for more than a year.
Hmm.
And during that time, you want to make sure that you've met their family and friends and they've met yours. And if anybody on your side is like concerned, you take them seriously because these are the people who most want your happiness. So you really take your time. Like even if your bio clock is ticking, go freeze your eggs, right? You don't want to rush into something. You want to take your time, get to know them. And along the way, if let's say a possible red flag pops up in a conversation and they say something and you have a reaction, you feel it in your body.
Hmm.
Don't gloss over it. Don't make excuses for it. What you want to do is ask a clarifying question. And you just say, okay, I think I just heard you say A, B, C. Did you mean X, Y, Z? And then don't say anything else. Let them talk, like really drill down and see what they had to say, because we make assumptions all the time that are incorrect. This is why I tell people when you're first dating somebody before you're in a committed relationship, do not spend any time texting. That is the fastest way to make wrong assumptions good or bad, or to think, oh, they really like me or I really like them. The only reason to use texting in the early stage of a relationship is to say, I'm parking, or I'm running 5 minutes late, or I need to reschedule. Do not have dialogues on text. You are wasting your time.
Mm. I love what you said about friends, and there's so much about this. Like, I mean, my brain is like glitching because there's so many things. Like, I've had some experts come on the show and say that, 50% of people cheat, and then I've even heard the number as high as 70%. There's just so many reasons why it's hard to be in committed partnership, and I love what you're sharing about just being honest with each other. Um, Tell me a little bit more about what this kind of conversation could look like with somebody.
Well, I think you first want to start with early on, what's your vision of relationship?
Yeah.
And if they don't have any instant answer, you share yours. Okay, well, mine is, I'm 32 years old and I've known my entire life I want to be a mom, right? I don't want to do it with geriatric eggs. So at this point in my life, I'm in a serious place in my life where I'm looking for a life partner to really love, have fun with, raise a family with, be committed and be monogamous and, you know, vacation with because I like sunny vacations.
Hmm.
That's sort of it. What's your vision?
Hmm.
And if they say, well, I'm not really at that part of my life yet. I don't really know if I want to have kids, right? I'm not sure about that. And being monogamous doesn't sound like something I'm ready for. So they could look great, they could smell great, they could taste great, but they've just told you the truth. Maya Angelou famously said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
don't think I'm going to change him
Mm.
because you will not.
Hmm.
And I had a friend who I'll just say she was 49 when she got married. And she married a guy who was about 6 or 7 years younger than her. And at that point, given this was quite a while ago, she was past childbearing age. So that was no longer a big thing for her. But she was thinking, well, would you be open to adopting? And he said, absolutely not. I do not want children in this lifetime.
Mm.
They got married. 4 years later, using a donor egg and his sperm and in vitro, they had a child.
Oh, wow.
Marriage is over. She's raising the child alone now.
Oh, wow.
He really didn't want to have kids, even though she talked him into this. Didn't
Mm.
want to have kids. So if that's a high value for you, I definitely want to be a mom. And you're with a guy who's not like, oh my God, I can't wait to be a dad. Keep going.
Yeah. There's so many little nuances that people talk about that don't feel like these big deals, but that are things to be navigated. Common ones I see are different energy levels. Like there's some people that are very extroverted. There was somebody that's very introverted. I have a really, I met this really fun woman at a networking event. She was talking about how her husband never comes out, but he's great with their baby, and she doesn't care that she's always alone at the party. She truly doesn't care. She's so excited to be out. And so it works differently for everyone. What are some of those like little nuances that are differences that you just think are to be navigated, or what's your thoughts?
Well, I think they need to be accepted.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be loved and accepted for who they are. So a lot of the best marriages I know, one partner's very outgoing and exuberant, and the other one's very reclusive and shy and doesn't want to go out. And it doesn't mean it can't work because there's a polarity there and there's a balance.
Right.
Like I'm the one who wants to go out and do and go. Brian was like that when we first got together. And now, as he's gotten older and he's gotten some health challenges, getting him out of the house doesn't happen a whole lot. I invite him to everything, but
Mm.
he rarely goes.
Mm.
So I have a wide circle of friends and they like to go places with me. I've been out of the country twice in the last 12 months without him. I was in Italy and France for 19 days in September, and I was in India for 16 days in April. And we just video chat twice a day on WhatsApp because even though we traveled a lot in the early days, he doesn't want to travel anymore. So
Mm.
just you have to become more accepting. So if you're dating somebody and one's low energy and one's high energy, how do they feed your soul? What do you most appreciate about them? As Alison Armstrong likes to say to women, you are not looking for the hairy version of you. And
Yeah.
that's what a lot of women are. He's got to make more money. He's got to be taller. He's got to do this. He's got to do that because you're the super successful, ambitious, go, go, go person, as opposed to maybe he really would like to be a stay-at-home dad and
Mm.
just have a part-time side hustle that he does.
Mm.
But when you're gauging somebody by their bank account, are you really seeing them?
No,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah. I love what you said about friends too. And I think, there's different fields of thought. Some people are like, oh, it's ultimately you're the one that's going to be with them. You need to make that decision. But there are, especially people who have a lot of friends, there's a lot of neutral observers that are simply just watching to see if this person makes your friend happy. And you know, um, I have so many different people I've come across where they've gotten married and they've asked for my feedback. Some of them couldn't handle the feedback because I'm so honest. I'm like, oh, don't ask me, and they contact me to this day with some of the challenges that they're having that are really along that line. And it's not to say that challenges are a problem, but like, wouldn't it be nice if we could avoid some of them? Um, I have really studied Eckhart Tolle's work around the pain body. Um,
I don't know anything about Eckhart Tolle. I couldn't
okay.
read him and I couldn't listen to him. So here's the only Eckhart Tolle thing I know that I like a lot.
Tell me.
Eckhart Tolle once said, I have been around many enlightened masters, all of them cats. That's all I know about Eckhart Tolle. So
That's
I don't know
so
about what a
funny.
pain body is.
Oh my gosh. Well, he says basically the pain body is like this part of you that is like this core wounded story that you keep playing out. So, whatever our psychology is when we're a little kid, my pain body story is that I don't matter. I have another friend whose pain body story is nobody picks me. And all of our behaviors stem from this belief in when we're in our wounding. Um, it's very
Yeah, no, now I get it because like my Brian's is he was a youngest child. Nobody listens to me.
exactly.
Right? And what's really funny is that I've tried to sometimes it is true. Sometimes I'm not listening to him, but often I am. And finally we got to the point where he was said to me one day, "Oh, you're not listening to me." And then he stopped and he said, "Oh, oh, that's my issue, not yours." Okay, what are we talking about?
What a
You know,
good man.
you can find, actually believe we're all going to die with our what I call core wounds, what you're calling pain body. We're all going to die with them. The difference is if you're on a path of personal growth, you're going to learn how to mitigate them and minimize them so it's not dominating your life. But at the end of your life, you still might be saying, well, I guess I didn't really matter, even though
Yeah.
you're surrounded by 40 people, seeing you off.
Well, the problem for me with my pain body was that it kept picking my partners. I kept picking people. It really likes people that show me I don't matter or like play that story out. So I kept
Yeah.
picking men that were working all the time, had no time for me.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, it's
Same
like
thing.
gotta love it. Just me and my pain body. It's so funny. I went to dinner with a bunch of friends the other night, and we all see the same coach about this. And I was like, "What's your pain body?" And one friend says, "I'm not capable," and the other one's like, "I don't matter," and the other one's like, "I have to give in order to be loved." Like I have to provide. Like I have one, I mean, a woman I know, she provides to everyone, and that's her pain body. And so I sent them a funny little GIF I made of a bunch of skeletons dancing together on Halloween with hats on that had our pain body on it. Like mine said like I don't matter and the one next to them and they were just dancing together like here we all are. But it's interesting because some people's pain body chooses their partner and their friends can see that and they're like, why would you pick this? And it's like so deep in our psychology and sometimes it can feel almost impossible to divorce yourself from this part of you that is really running the show. And I love what you said about like the spiritual girlies that sometimes like have the hardest time with love. I think that I've seen a lot of them try to turn men into a project, and I've been one of those women that have done that up until this point. So I would love to hear from you. Um, when you've read a lot of studies, like there's the Harvard story, the study you started talking about before we hit record. Can you just walk us through some data that you find interesting about love for people to consider as they're rethinking relationships with us and the Harvard study in particular?
Okay, so the Harvard study followed something like 80 Harvard male students starting the 20s or the 30s and would check in with them to see how they're doing physically, mentally, emotionally with their careers, happiness levels, all of that. And then it was published maybe 6 or 7 years ago. There was an in-depth study published. And what they discovered is that the men who had the longest, happiest, most satisfying lives were not the richest, the most famous, uh, you know, none of the stuff we would look for, didn't have big careers. What they all had in common was long, happy, satisfying marriages or a very wide circle of friends. So
Mm,
it's love and friendship that will extend life, keep you healthy, and make you happy.
mm,
That's the shortest version of the Harvard study I know, but it's really true. The, one of the things that I try to share with people in relationship is that you're not perfect.
mm,
I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. And Harville Hendrix believes that when we pick a partner, we have an internal picker. He calls it a picker
mm,
that we've picked this person because the purpose of taking sacred vows and of getting married is to end up with somebody with whom you're in a safe container so that all your childhood wounds can come up for healing.
mm,
And I asked him one day, I said, well, what's one of the things I need to learn to have like the best relationship? And he said, you have to become a master at creative solutions. So,
mm.
well, that's a nicer term than compromise, but really, what are you talking about? Give me an example of a creative solution. He said,
Yeah.
oh, that's easy. He said, my happy place, the place I want to be all the time, is behind the wheel of a vehicle driving.
Mm,
And Helen, his wife and life partner that they work together, Helen's happy place is to be sitting at home in the living room, knitting or needle pointing.
mm,
And I said, well, okay, there's no solution to that. He goes, oh, yes, there is. We bought an RV. I'm always driving. She's always in her living room. So, that's sort of the magic. And, it may look like you've picked the wrong partner because they're triggering you in different ways. But if you've already married them and you've taken sacred vows, you need to sort of reframe the picture like, oh, what is this triggering about my childhood that I need I need to now take care of myself and heal and have it come up. And interestingly enough, John Gottman and Harville Hendrix are best friends.
mm,
And I was with the two of them at a sort of marriage workshop thing once, and it was just such a riot to see them together. They couldn't be more different personality wise, but they are committed to creating the research and the science. Both of them have been in for more than 50 years of doing research and science of how to make relationship work. So if you were ever going to take a workshop, do it with either the Gottmans or the Hendrixes.
hmm What a funny place to go to just be hanging out with them and seeing what they're
Yeah.
doing. Um, what have I not asked you? I know you talk a lot about manifesting and creating love, and I think I've heard you or seen you use the term feelingizations or heart
Yes.
blocks. Like, talk to me
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. So, a feelingization is a closed-eye process where you get moved from your head to your heart. So let's say your deepest desire is to have the love of your life in your life. Um, Actually, you want to do one right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's just do that.
Okay.
So all you have to do is close your eyes
Okay.
and don't do this if you're driving. You can't do this if you're driving. Close your
Disclaimers,
eyes.
you turn people.
Put
Yeah.
your feet on the ground, put your hands in your lap, and take a couple of slow, deep breaths. Just a couple of slow, deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now move your attention down to the center of your chest. Just lightly hold your attention around your heart space. And if your shoulders are up around your ears, just let your shoulders drop. And now I want you to remember a time, remember an experience where you felt love. And it could be anything. It doesn't need to be romantic love. It could be looking into the eyes of a baby, looking into the eyes of your dog or your cat, having your best friend walk into the room, just where you had this experience of love, an experience where you physically felt love. Okay, just hold this experience as simple as it is. When with your attention on your heart, just fully re-experience this moment of love. And as you're holding this experience of love, imagine that there's a golden cord of light. And this golden cord of light is pushing out through your chest. It's going out into outer space. It's going into other dimensions that you can't even name. And you just imagine this golden cord of light. And right now, in this moment, it's landing in the heart of your future life partner. You can't see them. You know nothing about them. You don't know what they look like or where they are, what their name is. But you have this golden cord of light that's pulsating from your heart to their heart. And keeping your attention on this golden cord of light, we're going to send them a little message, a little silent message. And through the golden cord of light that is now in their heart, just simply say to them, I'm ready. I'm ready for you to appear in my life. When, where, however that's going to happen. Just know that the welcome mat is open. My heart is open. And I'm ready. And as you continue to see this golden cord of light in their heart, with your imagination, imagine they are now sending you a message only you can feel. And I'm going to give you 10 seconds to just receive this message from faraway dimensions, from your beloved. They are sending you a message. Now take a long, slow, deep breath. If you wish, you can leave this golden cord of light in place, or you can retract it and put it back in your heart. There's no right or wrong way to this. Keeping your attention on your heart. Take another long, slow, deep breath. And begin to sense your feet upon the floor. Wiggle your fingers. Become aware of the temperature of the air around you. And slowly bring your awareness back up into your head. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So this is what I call love at first sight. Not the kind you used to know, but this is love at first sight on another level. Because I believe that if you have the desire for what I call big love, that in itself is proof that it's coming to you, that it's on some level already yours. Because we have desires for that which is part of our destiny.
Mm,
Now, it's not your job to know how or when or where this is going to happen. You don't get to control that, but you do get to live in the daily knowingness that what you've asked for is already yours.
mm. Well, I think this is the best way to close this episode out. Thank you so much for coming on. And where would you love for everybody to go to keep learning from you?
Well, I would love for everybody to read my book, The Love Thief, and it's thelovethief.com. It's a romantic spiritual thriller with a very juicy revenge subplot and a surprise ending. And it's filled with absolutely everything I've ever learned about love, but told in a very fast-paced story.
Mm, mm. So good. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. And I'm so excited for this episode to come out.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in to the U-Turn podcast. I hope you learned so much in this episode and you're putting it into action today. We would love to hear from you. Slide into my DMs at Ashley Stahl or leave a written review if you're inspired. It would mean so much to us. Be sure to subscribe to the show because, as you know, the more subscribers we get, the better the guests we can bring you. And in the meantime, if you're looking to skyrocket your personal brand and impact millions,
Head on over to wisewhisperagency.com to learn more about how we can help you craft your greatest talk of your life, how we can help you get booked on some of the biggest stages in the world, even the TED or TEDx stage. We'd love to hear from you, and that's it for this week.
Trying to solve, always think you know it. I've been thinking about you up against that wall. It's too late, I fell on every fall. Holding ground, no hearts. I'm holding ground, no hearts. Holding ground, no hearts. Late night drive, what you trying to do tonight? I swear you don't even try, yeah, you still I can try and make you mine, but I don't think you like guys. I don't think you like guys. I don't think I should try. I guess it's time to give up.